Hello everybody, and once again welcome to Synonomics, the Money Machine. Today I'm going to talk about the Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP. I have given reference of NLP in some of my previous videos. Today I'm going to talk about it, and let me tell you, it's been quite popular, but at the same time it's not very clear to many people. It's a very confused concept. If you ask even the experts, they'll not be able to explain that in simple layman's term. So today I'm going to talk more in that aspect. At the same time, I'm going to decode it for you. Well, NLP or Neuro-Linguistic Programming is a way of changing somebody's thoughts and behavior to help achieve desired outcome for him or her. It may reduce anxieties, improve overall well-being, create financial or general abundance, create success in the work or life. It can be used in multiple aspects of life. Guys, NLP uses perceptual, behavioral, and communication techniques to make it easier for people to change their thoughts and actions. NLP very much relies on the language processing, but it shouldn't be confused with the natural language processing, guys, which shares the same abbreviation, by the way. So, in fact, it was developed by the two gentlemen, Richard Bandler and John Grinder. And they believed that it was possible to identify the patterns of the thoughts and the behaviors of successful individuals and to teach them to others. So that's the point here. So the process of understanding the thought structure, the brain structure, the mental model of successful individuals and to teach them to others so that others can replicate that. That's what neuro-linguistic programming is all about. Well, despite the lack of empirical evidence to support it, Bandler and Grinder, they published two books, The Structure of Magic 1 and The Structure of Magic 2. And from then, NLP took off, guys. Its popularity was partly due to the versatility in addressing the many diverse issues that people face today. Well, let me explain how does it work. But before I get in there, let me a little bit simplify what we just learned now. So as I mentioned, it actually helps understand the thought process, the mental model of successful people and teach the others so that they can actually replicate that. Well, let's see how it works. The varying interpretations of the NLP make it very difficult to define, as I told you in the beginning. It is founded on the idea that the people operate by internal maps, the mind maps of the world that they learn through the sensory experiences. So when a kid is born, he or she goes through multiple experiences depending on the geographic location, the cultural beliefs, and the upbringing, the education, and everything, the surrounding. And all these holistically actually create the belief system of the kid. And as the kid grows, that belief system, the mental models, actually form the bias or creates the pattern in their brain. For successful people, we need to understand that and to replicate that for the rest of the guys to make them successful. Well, NLP tries to detect and modify the unconscious biases or limitations of an individual's map of the world. Remember, NLP is not hypnotherapy. I'll repeat that. NLP is not hypnotherapy. Instead, it operates through the conscious use of the language to bring about the changes in someone's thoughts and behavior. For example, the central feature of NLP is the idea that a person is biased towards one's sensory system. This is known as preferred representational system, PRS, in psychology. Now, therapists can detect these preferences through the languages. For example, the phrases such as "I see your point" may signal a visual PRS. On the other hand, "I hear your point," "I hear you," these kind of phrases actually may signal the auditory PRS, auditory preferred representational system. And an NLP practitioner will identify a person's PRS and the biases of their therapeutic framework around it. The framework could involve rapport building, information gathering, and the goal setting with them. And once they identify the bias, the PRS, it's easier for them to change it. Well, guys, if I have confused you enough with all these complex psychological terms, let me take one step back and give you a very simple analogy and explain NLP in that light. For example, all of us are operating computers nowadays, or the laptops. What happens when the computer gets issues? There's something wrong with your computer. What we do? We run antiviruses, we delete some of the files we don't need it and free up some space in the hard disk, right? We take it to the software engineer who either reformats it or upgrades the operating system or downloads some of the drivers, or if there is a mechanical fault there, that's a different thing. Then they have to change some of the mechanical components there. Well, the point of the matter is that if you have a problem, the computer doesn't have a break fix issue, it has a software issues. It can be solved by what I just described. Upgrading the operating system, removing some of the clutters from the hard drive, and updating the drivers, etc. Similarly, guys, all of us are devices. Our life, human beings, all of us are devices, right? And our brain is pretty much like the CPU as well as the hard drive. All the data that is in there is actually creating the intelligence. Nowadays we talk about generative AI, generative artificial intelligence. All this data, the more data you have in your brain, it actually creates generative human AI. Well, if something has a different belief system or a different structure and you need to change that, what we will do, we need to upgrade the operating system, we need to unclutter the hard drive, in this case our brain, our storage system, and in other words, in simple terms, we need to upgrade our software. So if I have to put an analogy between the NLP and our brain, we can actually say is the software of the brain. Having said that, it's not only interpersonal. When we say interpersonal, I'm talking about one-to-one relationship, like the addiction, love, emotions, etc. It's also intrapersonal. It actually helps you fix your surroundings. For example, influencing relationship, subconsciously influencing others. Yes, it's possible. And that's called ESP, extrasensory perception. Help give you the financial success at your work, bring abundance in your life, build businesses, build relationships. So NLP can be used in multiple facets of life. In other words, it's not only the software of the brain, it's also a toolkit for you. A toolkit like a hammer. Hammer is a toolkit. You can use it for multiple purposes, right? Similarly, this is a toolkit for you. You can use it for multiple aspects of your life. So I think this was the simplest definition or explanation of what neuro-linguistic programming is all about. So just to sum it up, neuro-linguistic programming is the software of the brain and a toolkit which actually helps you fix a lot of challenges in your life by changing your thought pattern, your belief systems. And how we do that? We actually learn it from somebody. We actually copy it from some successful person, be it in business execution, be a successful executive, successful businessman, successful investor, and you name it. Great. So I think by now you have understood what is NLP. I'll repeat that again just for your. If you want to be successful, you don't need to go through the process a successful person has gone through. Multiple years of the life. Suppose your manager or your CEO, you want to replicate the success and the thought pattern, the way of thinking, the way of problem solving for these successful executives. You don't need to go through all those 30, 40, 50 years of their struggle. You can understand the structure of their brain, how their brains are wired, and replicate that in your life. Well, there are multiple techniques for that, and I'm going to talk about it now. And guys, you'll be very surprised to see that many of these techniques would be familiar to you if you have been following my channel. Well, NLP techniques are action-oriented rather than focusing on the why, as you might do in the therapy. NLP focuses on how, and it's exactly similar to what we have been talking about in the meditative techniques, in the mind control method, and also in the creative visualization. We only talk about how, not why. How can you react differently to your thoughts and emotions? How can you adapt your communication style to the situation? How can you change the mindset so that life is happening for you and not to you? Basically, how you control things that's happening to you. Guys, without further ado, let's get into the techniques. The first one is kind of called imagery training, or in simple words, this is visualization. I have talked about visualization quite a bit. I've also talked about creative visualization, 3 scenes method, etc. It's also called the mental rehearsal. You need to rehearse that in your brain. If you remember the 3 scenes method, I talked about it to get into the alpha state and to look at the large TV screen and see yourself and kind of rehearse the whole process. It's exactly the same thing. This is a classic neuro-linguistic programming technique based on visualization. In fact, it's an excellent exercise for beginners because it's straightforward and linear. The key is to create the highly detailed scene of yourself performing that act and learn from there, because in other words, you are actually kind of training your subconscious mind. Guys, pretty much in the golf, if you see some of the great golfers, they have to perfect their right putt. They actually visualize it. They visualize that the ball is actually going to the desired hole. And that's how they actually perfect that in their image, in your mind, in the visualization. So you have to picture yourself, the whole situation in greater details, including the body language as well. The confidence, the energy level, the way of speaking, the tone of the voice, And that gives you the confidence and actually induces the real change in your subconscious mind. And that's what is visualization. Well, let's go to the second approach or second technique. It's called NLP Swish, spelled as SWISH. NLP Swish. Again, guys, this is a little bit more advanced NLP techniques for you. And it's very simple as well. First, you have to create a picture, a vivid picture of the things that you don't want in your mind. And then make it large, brighter. Remember, the qualities you don't like, the things that you don't want, you are creating a vivid picture of that. And then create a vivid picture of something you want to replace it. Yes, you heard that right. So once you created something, for an example, you want to get rid of anxiety and fearfulness or unhappiness. So you create a vivid picture of very anxious yourself, very anxious you, very fearful you. And then try to replace that with the desired state of mind, a relaxed you, a happy you, a wealthy you, whatever aspects you are trying to achieve. So once you have created the bright and big vivid picture, and then as soon as the other one gets replaced, the desired outcome, the old one kind of gets diminished, getting into the background, is diminishing, extinguishing, is kind of vanishing, and the desired state is coming brighter and is zooming actually. So for some time you'll actually see that all the stuff that you did not want is actually vanishing, going into the background and finishing, and the qualities or the aspects you are desiring, that's becoming more vivid, brighter and bigger. You have to repeat that 3 to 5 times a day. Guys, pretty much similar to the 3 scenes technique I have been talking about, of the Silva mind control method. First, you have to imagine yourself in a large screen, then you imagine the state you are in, and then in the second scene, you see that you are doing something to change that situation, and the third one, you see the desired outcome. Similarly, in the NLP Swish technique, you are doing the same thing. Well, basically, you have to repeat that 3 to 5 times, and you will train, in fact, you'll train your subconscious mind, your subconscious brain to amplify the positives and weaken the negatives. The third one is called modeling. Again, it's a little bit linked to that as well. So modeling is one of the NLP training techniques that has gained quite a bit of attention from successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and more. Basically, here is very much based on the law of attraction. I've talked about the law of attraction as well, guys. You actually attract what you think, the ambience you are in, right? So whatever you consistently think about and focus upon, you move towards. If you're always thinking about success, how to be more successful in your corporate world, you'll start learning from people, from successful people and all those things. Basically, you'll become successful. If you're thinking about thinking of a lot of money, then you are actually trying to understand and read how these guys are making money, the rich people. What's their lifestyle? What's their thinking pattern? What's the investment style? You will simulate that, you'll become rich. Guys, remember the proverb, birds of same feather flock together. You will become exactly what you have been surrounded with. If you're surrounded with successful people, you will be successful. If you're surrounded with not very successful people, it will be much difficult for you to gain success. So choose your company accordingly. Well, in this modeling method, you have to actually identify a role model. It can be your boss, it can be your senior executive who has been very successful in your opinion, and what you'd like to be one day. And you can actually choose a mentor or a mastermind group to kind of practice that. But the best thing to start with is to have a role model. Once you have a role model, your boss or your senior boss or whoever, then you try to understand their behavior, their experiences, how they react to situations, how they solve the problems, how they manage the interpersonal relationship, how they manage the business relationships, and try to learn that, understand that, try to visualize, create a scene, and try to kind of emulate that. Yep. The more role models you have, the more you'll be able to leverage this NLP techniques, guys. Well, the fourth method is pretty much mirroring. It's called mirroring method. Yes, it's coming from mirror. So you are mirroring, simulating, copying, whatever you call it. But the technique is called mirroring method. And according to the 7-38-55 rule, if you don't know, let me explain that to you. There is something called 7-38-55 rule. Just 7% of your message gets communicated through the words. Whatever words you are speaking out, the communication takes place only 7% of the, or other way around, only 7% of the communication takes place from your words. 38% actually gets communicated with the tone of your voice. Is your voice confident? Is your voice very weak? If the voice sounds like you're fearful, the voice sounds like you're anxious, whatever it is. So the tone of the voice is so important, guys. 38% of the communication is attributed to the tone of your voice. And the rest, 55%, majority of that is actually from the body language. Yes, you heard that right. 55% of the communication takes place with your body language. So 7% with the words, 38% with the tone of the voice, and 55% communication is through the body language of your message. So mirroring in the NLP technique is what leverages the body language. And that makes very easy for you to get the instant connection built. For an example, if you're meeting a new person, just watch the body language, the way he speaks, the choice of words, the lingo. And as you mirror that, you'll be able to establish the instant connection with that person. And that's all about mirroring technique of NLP. I'd also like to add there, other than all these words and the lingo and the body language and the tone, another important thing is the energy level. If you're meeting with somebody who is like in a very relaxed tone and you are like highly stressed and you're talking very fast and all those things, he'll think, oh, what's wrong with this guy? You have to match the energy level as well. On the other hand, if you're meeting a person who is a forceful speaker, speaking fast, in a more forceful manner, you have to simulate that, you have to mirror that. You cannot speak like in a very relaxed way, very slow and relaxed approach, no. So energy level has to be mirrored as well. So you can change the words in line with the lingo they have been talking about. And basically that's what mirroring is all about. You need to mirror the body language, the lingo and the energy level of the person you are doing. And that's what it is. The fifth, last but not the least, of course, is called incantation. And if some of you remember some of the stuff that I've been talking about in the creative visualization, mind control methods, and as well as the meditation techniques, I think I've been talking about affirmations. Remember some of the affirmations? Every day in every way I'm getting better. I'm a money magnet. I attract money easily and abundantly. All these are affirmations, guys. Incantation is actually more powerful than affirmations. Incantations are affirmations plus one step ahead. So in an affirmation is pretty much like a phrase you repeat to yourself about the things you want to change. Whereas incantation, as I talked about, is one step further. You have to add the body language there. You have to actually get yourself into the peak state by embodying what you are saying with the intensity you can. So you are actually bringing the body language there, the energy there. And that's the way you reprogram your brain, you reprogram your subconscious mind and create empowering belief. So just to summarize that, incantation is pretty much affirmation, but with the body language, with the energy level. You have to get into the peak state and then to affirm so that you can actually change your belief system rapidly. So these are a few techniques actually. I just described 5 of them that might be very useful in the neuro-linguistic programming. But having said that, let me repeat that. It's exactly the same with the different names of what you have just learned, everything in the creative visualization, meditation, and the mind control methods. Centering method, 3 scenes method, they're all actually taking you towards that. Basically what you're doing, you are actually understanding the structure of the thoughts and the brain patterns, the mental model of a successful person. And you are downloading that, creating the same structure in your mind. You're training your subconscious mind to be that person. And that's what NLP is all about. Well, so if you have to describe NLP in one word or one sentence, it's kind of a behavioral method that uses the power of reframing to help you overcome some of your limiting beliefs and change that whole belief system, train your subconscious mind to achieve what you want to achieve in your life. Be it money, be it love, be it success in relationship, success in the corporate world, success as a human being, be it spiritual success, you name it. So, just to summarize that, we just looked at it from different angles, 5 different techniques. But if you take one step back, look things in perspective, you'll find that all of these techniques are pretty much the same, guys. They are the different techniques. So just like meditation is the core, and there are different techniques like Silva method, centering method, 3 scenes method, creative visualization, neuro-linguistic programming or NLP is one of them. The only approach is a bit different. There you are trying to kind of change, bring the change in yourself. Here you have a reference point. You have a reference, a successful person. And you are trying to simulate and learn from that. Program your brain through the languages of the behavior or the mental model of that successful person. Guys, in my next video, I'll talk a little bit about cognitive behavior therapy, CBT. It's a short-term therapy technique that can help people find the ways to behave by changing their thought patterns. And sessions focused on exploring the new ways to approach everyday challenges. And this is very, very effective clinically or therapeutically in the depression, anxiety, bipolar disorders, etc. So let me know if you'd like me to elaborate on that or you think it's not necessary. Give me your comments in the comment section and I'll go by that. Well guys, with that, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Remember, Synanomics is out there to help you with your general well-being, to make you healthy, wealthy in your life and more successful, to create a happier you. Because happiness is a state of mind, but at the same time, it's what all of us are seeking in our lives. With that, it's a goodbye from your life coach, Pankaj Sinha. Bye-bye.